let's get out here before 7:30.
Yeah, there we go. We're gonna go fast tonight.
That's right. Put it in high gear.
I don't think they have an expectation for anything to go fast tonight.
I expected the room to be with a lot more people and all those things. I know. I was just saying.
I thought the wedding already.
As soon as I turn the mic on, we call this commission meeting to order. First order of business is the invocation and the pledge led by Charles Rousseau. Charles?
Good evening. Would you join me in a moment of prayer? Father God, we thank you for the gift of life. We thank you for your peace, your power, your presence in our lives. Just thank you for this opportunity to provide some oversight and leadership within our community. Give us the wisdom from on high to be able to make the best decisions that are before us. In your son's name we pray. Amen.
Please rise.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Welcome. Next item on the agenda is acceptance of the agenda.
Move to approve.
Second.
So we got a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you. Public hearings. Debbie, you got a full slate today, I believe.
We do. We have a lot of things that were deferred from the prior meeting. So thank you for your attendance at the public hearings conducted before the Fayette County Board of Commissioners tonight. I'm missing my right intro. I've got my intro for impact fees. So public hearings will be conducted with 20 minutes provided to the public for those in favor of the proposals presented tonight, and 20 minutes provided for those in opposition. The applicant will be able to reserve some of their time, allotted time, for a rebuttal. The chairman will ask for those who would like to comment to come to the podium to speak. When it is your turn to speak, please tell the board your name and address and direct your comments to and only to the board. Since these hearings are part of a permanent record, we ask that you speak clearly into the microphone so your comments are properly recorded and can be heard by those in attendance. Please complete the speaker card located on the podium so your name is spelled correctly for the record. Item number 1 tonight is consideration of petition 1368-25, parcel 0722023, Stuart Reagan and Laura K. Reagan, owners, request to rezone 8.053 acres from R70, single-family residential, to AR, agricultural residential. The property is located in land lot 75 of the 7th District and fronts on Sun Road. This item was tabled at the January 22nd Board of Commissioners meeting due to lack of a full board. If you'll please pull up the... It's located in the northeast part of the county, or northwest, I'm sorry. You can see it is zoned R70. Property in the area is zoned a mix of R70 and AR with a little bit of R45 to the south. The land use plan designates this area for rural residential 2, which requires 2-acre lots. There are no environmental factors impacting the property, and this is an aerial view of the property. So the applicant has requested to rezone to R70, to AR, from R70 to AR. The lot is a legal lot of record and meets or exceeds the requirements of the AR zoning district, as does the existing house. The future land use map designates the area as rural residential 2, which has the 2-acre minimum parcel size. Since AR is a less dense, less intense, lower density zoning, the request to rezone to AR zoning is appropriate and consistent with the future land use map and comprehensive plan, and staff recommends approval of the request. On December 4th, 2025, the Planning Commission voted unanimously to recommend approval of the request to rezone from R70 to AR. That's all I have right now.
Thank you. Thank you. So is Stuart or Laura here? Would you like to come up and add your comments? Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Thank you. The only comments I would add to what were previously presented were we have horses, and because of zoning ordinances, we were going to have to obtain variances to build shelters in front of the house, between the house and the roadway. And so by rezoning, we no longer have those restrictions, and we can build environmental shelters, run-ins for the horses, and it's no longer an issue. And we have multiple pastures in the front.
Okay, good. Does anybody have any other questions for Stuart? Okay, since this is a public hearing, if there are those in the audience that are in favor of this, if you want to come forward and make comments, you can at this time. Seeing none, the other side of the public hearing is if you're in opposition to this rezoning, you can come and speak at this time. Welcome you to come forward. Seeing none, I bring this back to the board.
Mr. Chairman, move to approve petition 1368-25.
Second. So I got a motion and a second. Is any other comments, questions, concerns? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Thank you, Stuart.
Thank you, sir.
Item number 2 on our agenda tonight is consideration of petition 1371-25, parcel 1306023, CK138 LLC owner request to rezone 15.733 acres from R40 single-family residential to CH highway commercial. Property is located in land lot 198 of the 13th district in front State Route 138. This item was tabled from the January 22nd agenda. The property is a legal lot of record. An approved plat was recorded November 22nd, 2021. As defined in the Fayette County Comprehensive Plan, general business use is designated for this area. However, the property is immediately adjacent to CH zone property, so staff recommended approval of the request to rezone to CH. The Planning Commission on December 4th, 2025 recommended approval of this with a unanimous motion of 5-0. A portion of the parent parcel of this property was the subject of rezoning petition 1305-21, and that part of the property was rezoned to CH conditional on May 27th, 2021. The balance of the property remained R40 and is the subject of this petition. The parcel is also subject to the requirements of the State Route overlay for State Route 138 and North State Route 314 overlay zone, which provides additional setbacks, architectural and lighting standards, and access standards. We did get a response from GDOT regarding this that is not, it came in late to us. GDOT did state that the applicant would have to use the existing driveway, which they also own the adjacent property, which has storage units on it, that they would be required to use that existing driveway rather than build an additional one. It's right up in the very northmost part of the county. You can see that it is currently zoned R40 next to CH and in between some general business. The general business land use is in the future land use plan with commercial adjacent and some office. There are some environmental factors on the southern tip of the property. Their proposal would not impact that. You can see the topography here with an aerial view. It's partly open, partly wooded. And then this is a survey that was recorded that shows the previous rezoning subject parcel to the east of this parcel.
Okay. Is the petitioner here? Yes. Would you like to make some comments and tell us who you are?
Good evening, everyone. I'm Dakota Carruthers with Parker Poe, 1075 Peachtree Street Northeast. And I will not be long. I just wanted to go over a couple more things in addition to what Debbie provided for you. So as she mentioned, this went along with, this was one whole parcel, and the parcel that you're looking at to the east that is in red was combined with this subject parcel 15.7 acres, and in 2021 The applicant acquired the entire parcel, split it off, came before you for rezoning, and went through successfully, built a multi-unit storage building that exists on the property today. And what the applicant is looking to do here is extend it. As you can tell, this has been built, been functioning, and functioning almost too well. We are in need of some additional space. This is an aerial view and kind of shows the one-story outdoor access units to the back, and that's what the applicant here is looking to extend over to the side. I'll go over to this side. So this flips you around a little bit, but as you can see, again, on the east side, we have the existing, and just in the back, we're looking to expand over into this other section of the property, if you want to call it a phase 2. And then with RV parking just in the back of that will be hidden behind those one-story buildings. Now, what they've done is decided to split this up, eventually split it up, and have this retail portion up at the front to make best use of the corridor here, the adjacency to the highway, and give a retail use to the county in the front that would actually act as a screening for those units in the back that we're looking to add. And I'll go over here to this slide, and this at the bottom shows you a little bit more what exists today. The building as is blocks those one-story outdoor access units, and access to the new would be through the existing access that we have in the front of the property. I think that answers that question, and we don't have too much more on retail. We think it will be a really great use in the front and add some vibrancy back into this undeveloped property. I'm happy to answer any questions that you have. Chris Pollock with Childress Klein is, I'll call him the self-storage expert. He is here tonight. We can both answer questions. Thank you.
Do we have questions at this time? Okay. So with this, right. So with this being a public hearing, if there are those in the audience that are in favor of this rezoning, if you come forward at this time to speak, it would be welcome. Seeing none, the second part of a public hearing is if you're in opposition of this rezoning, you're certainly welcome to come and speak and voice your concerns at this time. Seeing none, bring it back to the board. What's the pleasure of the board?
I move to approve petition 1371-25.
Do I have a second? I'll second it. So, Charles, do you have questions?
Yes, to the applicant, quick question. And I know you answered one of the questions with respect to
The access?
envisioning, well, access from GDOT. That's a new twist.
Yep.
You're amenable to that condition?
Yes.
All right. Secondly, and I don't recall reading in the document, are you on currently on septic or public sewer?
Septic, I believe.
You're on septic?
Mm-hmm.
Is sewer nearby you when
I
you
don't know
talk
that
about
we- I
retail?
don't know that we've looked.
Okay. All right, just,
No, I'm not Fayette County, sir. I think there is.
no,
We're right across from Clayton County.
I'm aware.
We're right on the line.
Yes,
Yeah.
very much aware.
There's sewer on the other side. I
We-
believe
sorry.
there is sewer on the other side of the street.
Right now, with that
Yes.
retail space, you envision it
Yes.
remaining on septic and being able to handle your
I
capacity?
believe so, yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Those are my questions.
Okay. There are other concerns, comments? Chuck?
Back in 2021, when this was rezoned, the remaining acreage was to be left residential.
Yeah. That was foreseen to be, I believe, a residential development with a couple of new houses. I want to say 10?
Yeah, we did envision them to be one acre lots with a residential subdivision. The company that I work for doesn't do residential, and because of the success of the project, we would respectfully request to expand our business, but again, we are willing to sell that piece off the front for retail, so.
well, I don't have any issues with expanding a successful business, so that's goes without saying. And I think I've asked, but this would not be permitted in OI? Wouldn't this, I mean, I've been going through this, and it looks to me like this would be suitable in OI, because general businesses for less traffic, less
I want to say, I
commotion.
actually think we've been in process for a little bit, deferred a little bit, and I think we actually talked about that in our first meeting, and we were doing the CH highway commercial to be the same zoning as the neighboring property, so that then we could combine the two. It made the most sense when we all discussed it. You might have other comments, Debbie, than I do.
So storage, self-storage would be allowed in general business. Self-storage is only allowed in OI under certain circumstances in a Highway 54 West overlay, I believe. So I don't think that it would allow self-storage here if you zoned it to O&I in this location.
Okay.
General business would allow self-storage units.
So my concern, when I look at this, and maybe the applicants can say why, when I look at this commercial piece is going to go deep into residential area. And, I mean, I don't think that the people who might be back there are going to be fond of having commercial development right butting up to their property. I do think that if there could be some transition, I would be much more inclined towards this. When you go down the road and you have the school down the other side, I understand the commercial at the corner. Most intersections are commercial. But moving away from there, even your business is less intense, which is really what I'd like to, in that small corridor there, but just with the school down the road, I don't know that we want to have an active commercial area in between. So I'm concerned about that. I'm concerned how deep it goes.
Maybe we could put back up on the map to the, I just wanted to show you, we're really only adjacent to one, there you go, we're only adjacent to one parcel that is residential, and I've talked to that neighbor and he's okay with it. So that's the 2.5 acre parcel just to the west of us. And then if you go beyond that to the west, that was those parcels were rezoned for the movie studio. So those are already general business.
I could just add, in any event, this site plan does not even show the full property. It shows about half of it because the remainder is stream buffer.
Okay, so when
So
I'm
when
looking
you're
at the
looking
map,
at this,
though,
it's about half the parcel that we're talking about.
okay, where is it only touching one parcel? I'm trying to. The part that's going to be rezoned seems to touch several parcels.
Okay, so we want to rezone this parcel,
Mm-hmm.
and this parcel right here is the only residential parcel. This is the movie studio, this is the movie studio, all of this is movie studio. So really, this is the only parcel we touch that, well, I guess you're right. At the very, very back of these, there is these deep lots. But there is a creek back here as well. So there is a buffer, not a buffer, but a divider, if you want to call it. So there is a divider, I guess, is what I'm saying. And pretty much, as Dakota was saying, a lot of this land at the very back is unusable to us because it does, so this right here is the lake that it abuts, so we've got to stay back like 150 or 250 feet from here. So again, we can't even build back in there anyway, so.
Yeah, I'll say, if you can see the tree line right there, that's about the extent of the usable space, not just for us, but for anybody in any commercial situation. We did look, I do think Debbie was right, it might have been general business. We looked at the options for zoning, and again, took this one because it made sense with the existing property. if something else feels more palatable, we'd be happy to discuss that as well.
I mean, I'd prefer to see OI, but we're saying we can't put that in OI, which would take a change to our ordinance, I guess.
I was going to say we could amend the text.
Well, one of the other things, I think we wanted to have the same zoning so that, right, yeah, go back to that one right there. So that if we combine the parcels back together again, these buildings could be farther away, closer to us and also farther away from the neighbor. So, otherwise, we're going to have the setbacks, you know, the side setbacks between the two parcels if we do a different zoning category.
Well, I was here when it was rezoned the first time, so I'm just a little concerned because it went from one thing to now much more potentially intense activity along the road there, and it's a short stretch. Like I say, they got a school right down the other side.
I'm sorry. Would you like to put a condition on that says that we can't develop more than X amount of square feet or something like that on the buildings? We'd be fine with that. I don't see us developing any more than what we have pictured here.
I don't think your buildings are my issue. You're talking about the public storage?
Yes.
No, that's not my concern.
Is it the retail
It's
use?
the commercial highway.
Just the zoning itself?
Are we
And
voting
we'd
on
be-
something that hadn't been done yet? Or are we voting on what they came in here to ask for? Because I'm about ready to call the question.
Go ahead, Charles.
My colleague reminded me of a question that I had in terms of the natural buffers or
Yes.
buffers, since we're talking about being somewhat adjacent to potential residential and current. Is that how mature are the current trees and shrubberies and bushes on the property? No, it's no more than a year and a half, 2 years old, right?
Well, we didn't do any development on that parcel, so there would be, again, what existed before we purchased it. But
Okay.
I know we are certainly going to stay away from the adjacent neighbor by 65 feet, which is the 50 plus the 15. But I actually measured how far these buildings were away, and I think they
Okay.
were over 100 feet from the
I would
neighbor.
just love to see, as a part of being a good neighbor, in that rear, if residential comes, you all would plant some kind of buffers, so they're not looking at the back of buildings and retail if housing ever does go into that area. So keep that in mind.
We would be happy with that. And I'll also say one of the things, I think we were looking at if OI allowed our use, or if anything else did. Again, I think the reason was that we wanted to combine the properties. In other places, you can combine the property with two different zoning districts, and I think that you guys typically don't do that here, but we talked about that as an option. I think legally you can. But we're open to it, and we're open to different conditions. We're open to continue discussing. We own this property and have, so we have a little bit, we'd like to get this done, but we do have a little bit more time than others have if there are more questions and things to discuss.
Chuck?
Would you be willing to consider leaving the bottom portion residential and just rezoning the top portion?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
If that is allowable, we would absolutely do that. I think that would be a
Dennis, that's
split
not my
zoning
motion, and that's a
question.
completely different zoning decision.
It would be, and the fact of the matter is, even if you decided to go that direction, you could not tonight because you don't know what property you're talking about.
Correct.
Mr. Chairman, I move to call the question.
10-4, with a call to question motion. Dennis, am I correct in that we vote
Takes
He's
precedence.
made a motion to call the question. You vote on whether or not to call the question. Correct.
So, do I have a second to call the question?
Doesn't require a second.
Thank
Vote on whether or not you want
Okay.
to call the question.
All in favor of calling the question, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? So all in favor of said motion by Mr. Gibbons, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay. Thank you.
Thank you all for your time.
4-1.
Just a moment of excellence.
Sure.
Just a clarification, I had to vote no because I wasn't ready to vote, so.
4-1, don't care.
Okay. Item, let's be nice. Item number 3.
Yes, item number 3 and item number 4 are related petitions, so I'd like to just introduce them together, but then each will have a separate public hearing. Item number 3 is consideration of petition 1372-25A, 1246 Highway 314, Fayette, CO LLC owner, Randy Boyd agent, request to rezone 45.412 acres from R40 single-family residential to AR agricultural residential. The property is located in land lot 219 of the 13th district and fronts on Highway 314 North. This item was tabled at the January 22nd, 2026 meeting. And then item number 4 is petition 1372-25B at the same location. It is 4.738 acres and request to rezone from R40 to AR. So for petition 1372-25A, this is one of 2 parcels. The applicant is proposing to request rezoning. This parcel is a 45.412 acres. As defined in the Fayette County Comprehensive Plan, future land use plan, low-density residential is designated for this area, so the request for AR zoning is a lower density district and is considered appropriate. The other parcel that is part of this rezoning does not meet the minimum lot size for AR zoning. Therefore, a condition is recommended to ensure that both parcels are combined, which will resolve that issue. Based on this, Planning and Zoning staff recommends conditional approval of the request for zoning of AR, subject to the following. 1, all parcels that are the subject of this petition shall be combined by a recorded final plat within 180 days of the approval of the petition or prior to the submittal of a site development plan. On December 4th, 2025, the Planning Commission voted unanimously to recommend denial of the request. That motion passed 5-0. If you would pull up the PowerPoint, please. It's located in the north part of Fayette County on Highway 314. You can see here this parcel. It is zoned R40 currently. This is the future land use map, which shows this area as low-density residential. There is a lake and several streams on this property. This is the property that is just above where a former fire station was that does have a Category 1 dam. This is the aerial view of the property. So 1372A is the larger parcel, and B is the smaller parcel, which I referenced earlier, which is 4.738 acres. So that is the reason for the condition. The condition is the same in both of these requests. And then this is simply a survey of the property, and then this is the same survey. I just highlighted the 2 parcels to make it a little easier to read because it's difficult to read on the plain survey.
Okay. Thank you. Mr. Boyd, do you have comments?
Good afternoon. My name is Randy Boyd, and I represent Xavier Hill, who is the owner of the LLC that owns this piece of property. And what he wants to do is the property is currently zoned R40. It was zoned in blanket zoning back in 1971. He requests that it have it reverted back to the AR. What he'd like to do is put an AR wedding venue and an AR bed and breakfast on this property. We agree to the condition that we'll, if it gets approved tonight, that we will combine both to make to get rid of the 7-acre tract to combine it with, to make it 50.15 to bring into compliance with AR zoning. And Mr. Hill is very proud of this piece of property. He's a great guy. I've got to know him in the last few months, and what he wants to do is just be a good neighbor to the neighborhood. He'd like to have a wedding venue. He'd like to have events where he could have people over to fish and enjoy the beautiful piece of property. And I talked to Ms. Bell before the meeting, and I know that you have received in your package a video that my client would like to show. Now, if we could pull it up, I know if that's an issue, we won't do that, but if we could pull that up, or is that going to take too long a period of time? Thank you.
Yeah, you can do that. Sure.
Thank you for allowing me to do that.
Sure.
And as you can see, that'd make a beautiful wedding venue, excellent recreational type area for the neighborhood. And Mr. Xavier Hill is a builder. He's knows he's been blessed with a beautiful piece of property, and he'd like to share it with the community. And our request is that we be allowed to take the property back to AR so he can develop a wedding, a venue, event venue, and a AR bed and breakfast. Thank you.
So with this being a public hearing, if there are those in the audience that would like to speak in favor of this, you can certainly come at this time. Welcome. Sure.
Hello, my name is Alvin Williams with G Square Entertainment. We actually own if you're facing the house off of 314, we own the property to the right where the movie studio is going to be. I have a question. I'm for it. I think it's a great idea, but I have a point of clarity, and I couldn't get it when I went to the zoning to understand. I think there's some down repairs that needs to be done, and I'm trying to understand which end. If it's on the end that butts up to our property, then I want to ask if there's, excuse me, any type of work done in regards of a dam, because that property is close to 100 years old. So if anything is done and there's damage to the dam now or later, the adjacent property owner needs to take all, financial risk, repairs of anything, and not on us if it gets passed. Again, I'm for it, but it's a point of clarity which side of the dam.
Okay. Thank you, Alvin. Are there others in the audience that would like to speak in favor of this rezoning? Seeing none, the next step is those that are in opposition to this are certainly welcome to come at this time and voice your opinion. Certainly. Please give us your name and address, please.
Good evening. My name is Dan Anderson. My address, 200 Smithstone Path, there in Fayetteville. I have some prepared remarks. I appreciate your time this evening. I respectfully request that you deny this rezoning application because it is inconsistent with the intent of residential zoning, the comprehensive plan, and the long-term stability goals of our city. Number one, inconsistency with the comprehensive plan. Our comprehensive plan emphasizes protecting established residential neighborhoods, maintaining compatibility between land uses, promoting orderly and predictable growth, safeguarding public health, safety, and welfare. Allowing commercial party or event use in the middle of a residential area conflicts with those principles. Compatibility is not simply about what can physically fit on a parcel, it's about whether the use harmonizes with surrounding homes. An event venue introduces concentrated traffic at peak hours, parking overflow, late night noise, increased lighting and disturbance, transient visitors unfamiliar with the neighborhood. This is fundamentally different from residential living. Number two, zoning predictability and public trust. Zoning exists to provide predictability. When families invest in homes within a residential district, they rely on the zoning designation remaining consistent with its stated purpose. Repeated attempts to rezone this parcel after prior denials undermine public confidence in the planning process. If this request is approved despite past incompatibility findings, it signals that residential zoning protections are conditional and temporary. That precedent affects more than one property. It affects the entire district. Number three, infrastructure and safety considerations. Our neighborhood streets were designed for residential traffic patterns, not event-based surges. Event uses create congestion on narrow roads, limited safe parking, emergency vehicle access concerns, increased risk or impaired driving late at night. These impacts are foreseeable and conflict with your responsibility to consider public safety. Number four, availability of proposed or properly zoned alternatives. The city has designated commercial and mixed-use areas specifically designed to accommodate event venues, nighttime activity, parking demand, noise buffering. Directing this use to properly zoned areas supports economic opportunity while preserving residential integrity. This is not an anti-business position, it is a pro-compatibility and pro-planning position. In closing, your role is to ensure land use decisions align with adopted plans, protect community welfare, and maintain orderly development. This request does not meet those standards. I respectfully ask you to uphold the intent of the comprehensive plan, preserving zoning predictability, and deny this application. Thank you.
Thank you, Dan. Are there others in the audience that would like to voice opposition? Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Good evening, gentlemen. My name is Walter Metzger. I live at 1217 Highway 314, directly across from the proposed venue. Initially, that property was zoned as residential. It was purchased as residential. His initial plan was to develop that property as residential. I have no issue with it being residential. I do have an issue with it becoming commercial. I don't want to restate everything that the gentleman previous to me stated, but all of those I agree with. I did not move to Fayetteville or move to that home and purchase that property to have commercial business conducted across the street from my home. Obviously, that place, the place is beautiful. It'd be beautiful for homes. He's had several events there previously, and having several events there previously, yeah, the music went off at night. However, when I was within my home, I could hear that music and hear what was happening at his house, and my house is more than 100 yards away from there. If you make that a commercial venue, weddings happen on when? Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays. So enjoying my home when I'm not working will be impacted. I think everyone that lives within that corridor will be impacted. So I ask that you all do not approve it for rezoning.
Thank you. Walter? Are there others that would like to speak in opposition to this?
Good evening, everyone. I'm totally in agreement with these two previous gentlemen just said. My name is Karen Webb. I have resided at 104 Lafayette Drive for 43 years and have witnessed the growth of Fayette County. Unfortunately, I have also seen my once quiet, close-knit community become increasingly impacted by traffic that cuts through Lafayette and surrounding streets between 279 and 314. This traffic creates significant inconvenience and safety concerns for residents. It has been difficult for homeowners to safely exit their driveways, for neighbors to walk along the street, and for the children to play outside without worry. I respectfully ask the Board of Commissioners to carefully consider the concerns and quality of life of the residents who call this community home. My mom is 90 years old, and this is all she knows. And unfortunately, we are having certain issues, but we don't need the large amount of issues that this other project is going to bring. And I'm asking y'all to consider no for this project. Thank you.
Thank you, Karen. Are there others that would like to speak in opposition? Yes. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. My name is Gail Raby. I live at 1223 Highway 314. I don't want to have to will not repeat everything everybody else has said. This was denied back during the summer, and it's back again, and nothing has changed. The young lady that just spoke in reference to Lafayette, she didn't mention that one of the exits from this facility will exit out into her her community. That community is very low lighting. People walk in that community. Therefore, you are looking at a risk of accidents because the people leaving events are intoxicated. We're looking at the people trying to get onto 314 and getting off of 314. We're looking at that as the infrastructure problem with the county. Right now, we're already looking at trying to get XL and decel lanes on 279. Then with putting more traffic on 314, that's another problem that the county will have to look at on 314 and putting some type of XL and decel lanes there. I'm not against this, the county progressing, but I am against coming in and changing the atmosphere of a community, not looking at how a community is built. And what I am against is people coming in from the outside wanting to put a business in a residential area, which does not fit in our area. I'm looking at the noise, the traffic, and the increase in crime. And I don't know if you know this, North Fayette County has the highest rate of crime. And our police force has done a wonderful job in decreasing that since I've been there over the 30 years. But we're still at the top over the entire Fayette County. So putting an event center here in North Fayette, you've got people coming in from the outside again and more people coming in. And therefore, we may increase the amount of crime that we're having in that area. Excuse me, my allergies. What I'd like you not to prioritize a short-term business over the long-term stability and safety and quality of life for the community. Mr. Hill doesn't live in our community. He's an investor in our community, which makes a big difference on how he looks at things and how we view things. So I want you to consider that. Consider that we are taxpayers. We're paying into the school systems. We're putting money in. Yes, he will be paying taxes, but he will not be living here in this community. So when you don't have a feel of who's here and just putting money in, it makes a big difference. So I want you to consider that. One thing that disturbs me is that this property wasn't a cheap property. And therefore, if this wedding venue or bed and breakfast is not profitable, what happens? what happens? This is my big question. When I first met Mr. Hill one day, when he first moved in, I saw him on the side of the road. So I just pulled my car over and just to introduce myself and basically find out what was going on. Since he had started some building a ramp and things like that on the area. And he said that he wanted to be like another Rick Ross. I went, what? And I asked him to clarify what he meant by that. He said, I want to have big events like that, which raised a red flag for me. So if this property is not profitable for him, and if you rezone it, someone else buys it, what will they do with it? They would change it from what he's saying, what he wants to do. In a meeting that he was in our community meeting, North Fayette community meeting, he made the statement that someone else wanted to buy parts of his land if he rezones it. That's another question. What does that person want to do with the land? So once it's rezoned to AR, or if, let me say, not say once, if it's rezoned to AR, our question is, what's going to happen next? We may get into something that we can't change, nor can you change. Like the Rick Ross issue. It's something you may have to try to back yourself out of, which sometimes you can, because it's already there. So let us look at it now, and look at the layout of it now before a decision is made on the pros and the cons. So I'm asking again, as I did back during the summer, to deny this rezoning. Thank you.
Thank you, Gail. Are there others that would like to speak in opposition? Good afternoon.
Hey, good afternoon, everyone. I apologize for my tardiness, but that traffic from downtown Atlanta is pretty brutal. My name is Harold Powell. I am the president of the Homeowners Association in Country Lake. And I wanted to speak briefly, and I'm not sure if anyone has touched on this or not, but I have college and high school age children. They like to go out, get Airbnbs, they like to rent event centers and that sort of thing. One thing that troubles me is the lack of control over social media and posting of events that are happening. The person who is renting the event center has absolutely no control over, hey, there is a party going on at this particular address, and I'm telling you firsthand of what I know and I have experienced in my own neighborhood. Someone can have a party and all of a sudden you have traffic both sides of the street going in the same direction. You ever heard of the saying, it's easier to get forgiven than it is to get permission? I'm sure we all have heard that before, right? They will ask to use this event center and then tell you what they're going to do with it and how they are going to obey every rule and regulation that you have on that sheet. But once they get there, you give them the keys, you give them the access code, you ride off, and say you're coming back later on that evening at 2 in the morning, whatever time it's supposed to shut down, and you are going to lock up. Well, all hell breaks loose in between the time you drive off and the time you get back at 2 o'clock. If you don't believe me, I've spent time with the U.S. Marshals, calling them myself, being preemptive in my own neighborhood and making sure that, hey, ma'am, sir, you are aware that you have the right to have a social event at your property. Once it starts impeding the traffic, once it starts impeding people coming home from work in the evening and they can't get to and from their homes, and they're on the side of the street spending 15 minutes trying to get to their house when it takes 3 or 4 minutes once they exit off of 138 to come down 314 to get home. So please be mindful of, I understand that some of you may not be impacted by it, but for all of us, whenever they drive off and all of a sudden people love to come to Fayette County, I know they do because I grew up in Atlanta, and guess where I am? I live in Fayette County, right? I grew up coming to Fayette County and wondering what in the world you folks did for a living that you could live the way that you do. There are a lot of beautiful homes, beautiful subdivisions here. We intend to keep it that way as citizens. I understand that you guys have a vote, but if you can, I would like for you to vote with the citizens that are here this evening. And we really appreciate everything that you guys do, the Sheriff's Department, Sheriff Babb, all of the marshals that we have in place. I'm not going to belittle the point, but please make sure that if you lived on the opposite side of the street from this event center, and you had to come here this evening at 5 o'clock to do your job, and there was an event starting to happen, and you left your significant other and your children at home, would you feel safe with this event center, traffic starting to flow in, and you're down here at work? All right. Thank you for your time. I apologize for being late to everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, Harold. Others who would like to talk in opposition this evening? Yes, sir. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. My name is Mac Massengill. I live in the subdivision across the street on 314 at 258 Smithstone Path. I purchased my house there over 20 years ago. I've seen a lot of changes come around here. But going back even further, the subdivision was one of the very first major developments in Fayette County. It was a country. There's still a lot of residents there that have been there ever since. And the growth of Fayette County is taken away from what they purchased. I remember when I moved in 20 years ago, I could sleep with windows open. Now the noise level from everything around, 24 hours a day, you can't sleep with the windows open. There's no more fresh air to be had. Its noise levels get higher and higher. So taken away from these people as years go on, and you're going to keep adding and adding, it's not really so much of a enjoyable, peaceful atmosphere back there anymore. I own almost 6 acres back there. And when I go in my backyard, it used to be peaceful and quiet. Now they've built a school on the other side in Clayton County, so I hear kids screaming, I hear bells going off, I hear announcements going off. There's some other kind of tire shop over there. I can hear their equipment going all the time. You know, I know that, you know, the world prospers, but does it have to be right in our neighborhood? This development that he wants to do, it's surrounded by houses on 3 sides, if I'm correct. And he's a home builder, and not to deny that he couldn't run this new business, but it seems like a new business adventure and a lot to be invested in the property. And I don't, as a businessman myself, and I've owned my own business for over 30 years, you make an investment, you expect a return on your investment. I don't know what he paid for the property, but I'm sure he paid a pretty good bit. And from what I understand, the investment that's going to be required to fix the dam, which is something he's required to do, is going to be another large investment. Is this business that he's going to have there enough to support that? It seems to me like a temporary way to get some kind of a rezoning to make a stepping stone into another adventure. I'd ask that you please don't vote in favor of this zoning change. Thank you.
Thank you, Mac. Are there others? And time's getting short. We got 3 minutes and 10 seconds. Are there others that would like to make comments in opposition? Okay, we'll close that portion of the public hearing. Randy, do you have comments?
On the traffic issue, all the traffic will be coming off 314. Yes, Mr. Hill owns a lot in the Lafayette subdivision, but I don't believe he can cross from this piece of property into that subdivision. So my understanding, he cannot use that as an entrance. So the entrance and the exits will be off of 314 totally. As concerning the dam, it is the dam at the lower end of the property. The gentleman that spoke, I don't believe he would have any responsibility in repair of the dam. And you know, I guess the county's very aware it's a Category 1 dam, and he has to make quarterly reports, and then every year or two he has to get an engineer to report on the dam. And so he's well aware that that's has to be done, and he's continued to do that, because in a Category 1 dam, if you have failure, you possibly could have loss of life. So yes, he is directly taking care of that. This will not be a commercial zoning. It would be a conditional use under either the R40 zoning, which I'm going to mention those in just a minute, or it'd be a conditional use under the AR zoning. Mr. Hill has certain things he can do on this property, and he can't do anything about the traffic. It's a state highway, and I know it has a lot of traffic on it, but like the gentleman said, Fayette County is a very popular county. People want to be here. And the noise limits, if this were to be passed, and there's noise limits in ordinance, and there's also times that a venue can be open, so those would be enforced. on whatever goes here. One interesting thing I found in my research on R40, the way it's zoned now, as a conditional use, you can have a church and or place of worship. At about a 45-degree northwest bearing from the corner of my client's property is the Catholic Church. It has a gigantic classroom building. It has a football field, a baseball field. It looks like a soccer field. And that's under this zoning as it exists now. So he could do something similar like that with respect to all the building lines and all the buffers off that lake and the creeks and all. You can also have a developed residential recreation amenity area, as the zoning is right now. You can also have a private school, which I'm sure the Catholic school is under that particular definition, included but not limited to classrooms, administration, buildings, playgrounds, housing, athletic fields, gymnasium, and stadium. Those are the things that can be done under the R40. Our request does adhere to the Fayette County future land use plan. Staff has supported our request. We think this would be a much less intense use with the possibilities of not just the subdivision, which is zoned R40, but the ones I just mentioned. This would be a much less intense use. And we ask that you approve it for a AR wedding event facility and a AR bed and breakfast. Thank you.
We have questions for Randy.
Yeah, quick question before you sit down, Randy.
Yes, sir.
When you say lower end, define that closer to 138 or closer to Lafayette Estates? The dam.
Yes, sir. It's down at the southeast portion of the property. If they'll bring up the, if you can bring up.
So it'd be
map.
closer to Lafayette Estates?
Yes, sir.
And one of the questions I want to clarify that one of the residents talked about is access off of or in and out of Lafayette Estates. And I'm glad you clarified that. That is not a point of entry or exit that will be coming into that residential community.
At this time, it's my understanding that we can't even, we can't through the different zoning. That's all obviously an R40 zoning. So if we change this to AR, I don't believe you can cross zoning lines to get on there. And there's probably some other ordinances. I hadn't reviewed that, but researched it, but I don't think.
No, my question is clarification that there is no current on this
No, sir.
application point of entry from Lafayette Estate.
No, sir. And
Correct.
I'm not sure it can
Okay.
be. Thank you.
I have a motion, Mr. Chair. One other question.
Okay. Chuck, you have?
Excuse me. Mr. Boyd, so one of the requirements of bed and breakfast is for the owner to live on the property, or if it's a corporation, to have an officer live on the property.
His intention is for he and his mother to live on the property. Yes, sir. That is his intention.
So he will be there.
If that's a requirement, he'll have to be there.
Well, if it's a corporation, there'll also be a representative that has to live there.
Yes, sir.
Somebody has to live there.
Yes, sir. That's the intent.
And how many homes if we put homes there, how many homes could we put there?
I didn't work out a design on that. I didn't know that that was even an option. And he's not considering that at this point. He wants to share
Well,
with the
I'm
community.
thinking of what would go there in place of this. If there's homes, you could put 20 homes, 25 homes. What I'm thinking of is that's traffic too.
Yes, sir.
I'm trying to determine what the real negatives are.
Well, you can't, with opportunities of the things that I mentioned under the R40 conditional use, there's none of those that you're not going to have traffic. And the possibility of a private school or a church, which is allowable the way it's zoned now, obviously you're going to have a lot more traffic concentrated than I think you would a wedding. Occasionally, you're going to have church there, more church events than I think you would have on a wedding.
I guess where I'm at is if somebody wanted to come in and do something with the property, they can, and the people who live in the area might not like it. This seems to be taking a lot out of, I understand all the issues here, but I'm not having a real understanding of why it's a big negative. It's taking potentially 20 homes out of the, lowering the density. That's going to lower the traffic in the area.
Yes, sir. And it may be concentrated during the time of the wedding, but obviously it wouldn't be everyday traffic from a subdivision. And for sure would not be everyday traffic, which is much more than a subdivision would be, in my opinion, if somebody did put like a smaller school or a smaller church there, but a school especially. And like I said, you can do that as it's zoned right now as a conditional use with obviously lots of different requirements you have to meet, but you don't, that's not a rezoning issue if it's R40. You can go straight to the site plan and start getting your construction plans going. So.
Thank you.
Other questions?
If you, Randy, one of the things that we don't get whenever you submit a plan is how it's going to be, how the property is going to be used. And I look at this, and it looks like in the northeast corner where the house is, there's a driveway there now.
Yes, sir.
And so I assume that part of the access would be coming from there onto at least the property where the house is.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Then you got the little delta wedge that's just south of there, which is not part of the big rezoning request.
Right.
Is that going to be part of the, where something's going to be developed or built?
What he wants to do now, and I've talked to him multiple times during the day today, and I asked him, I said, what is your use right this minute if it gets rezoned? He said, I'd love to have the AR zoning so I could do the wedding venue and the bed and breakfast. He said, I said, well, somebody has to live there. He said, my mom and I, his mother for sure, full time. If it requires him to live there, he will live there, or he will not have the bed and breakfast. But initially, they don't have a building for the wedding, so initially, they would put, I mean, you've seen them before, I've been to weddings, they have a tent, a large tent. Of course, that has to be inspected by the building department and go through all the requirements of the county, but initially, that's what he'd have to have. Maybe later on, he would like to build a venue if it worked. You know, who knows if it's going to work in this location.
So the wedding portion would be down there on that little delta piece is what I'm hearing. Of course, we don't have anything guaranteed or anything, but that's kind of the idea.
Well, right now, I think it'd be more in closer to the house, you know, that he could put like a tent and then just, you know, have initially gravel parking, because obviously they don't pave a lot of parking, this thing not work. So initially, he would just put up an event tent and see how it goes, and if it goes well, then he will improve the property to have a little bit nicer facility than a tent.
Okay. Now let's go south from the delta, that little delta piece, to the southeast portion. Is there going to be access to the southeast portion from the highway?
You've got 3 access points there that I believe are existing now. Of course, we would utilize those. The county, the state DOT has gotten very tough to get multiple entrances, and you know, we just have to coordinate with that. I hadn't done any work with the DOT because I didn't know if this was going to get approved and you know, whether or not we were going to pursue one of the other uses in the R40 zoning. So I haven't done anything with the DOT, but they're very tough to work with now, multiple entrances, especially a very busy highway like 314.
So, well, where I'm getting to is the west side of the lake.
Yes, sir.
How is he going to access the west side of the lake? Because he can't do it from the north because there's a lake there.
Right.
So the only way that to do it is going to be over the dam or around the dam. Is there going to be access from around the dam to the west side of the property?
There wouldn't be any vehicular access, or you know, we'd of course coordinate with the Safe Dams people to make sure if you could possibly drive across there. But if not, you would just, and I've been to weddings like this too that had the same situation. You had to get to the venue with a golf cart. Went to one right before Christmas. So that would be the plan now, and just, you know, work and make sure that we possibly could put like a gravel type drive across the dam.
Because what I'm hearing from you right now, Randy, is there's really no intent to use the west side of the lake,
No,
the
sir.
property on the west side of the lake.
Correct.
There's no access because you can't come off of Lafayette Estates to get to the west side of the lake.
No, sir.
So is the plan that great big portion of land to stay fallow the way it is now?
Unless we can find some way to get across there with a road.
Okay. So it looks to me like the most that could be developed is around the house, the delta little piece that's south of that, which is 4 or 5 acres. I don't know how large it is, but
About that.
you know,
Yes,
about
sir.
that.
Yes, sir.
And then, there could be something down there around the dam, but I don't know of any construction you'd be doing on the backside of a dam.
No, sir. I don't believe that would be allowed based on the fact of possible failure of the dam.
So it looks to me like the only portion that can actually be developed and used for weddings or bed and breakfast or those type of activities. Now, somebody could walk around the lake and throw a fishing pole, I guess, into the
Yes, sir.
lake.
Yes, sir.
And that's part of the thought process that Mr. Hill's got?
He would like to have the opportunity to invite, like, schools or churches to come over there and have fish events just for the neighborhood. But his main focus is the wedding venue and have that house used as a bed and breakfast.
Let me ask you this, Randy. One of the notes that were in here was in the Planning Commission said that this had previously been presented over the summer. Now, I don't remember this coming to the board.
It didn't get to you.
Did it get dismissed before it ever came here?
Well, he took it before the Planning Commission, and they voted unanimously to turn it down, and he became dismayed and just pulled his zoning.
So he didn't come in front of us? So we
No,
had-
sir, he's never been before you.
Okay. That's what I thought. Now, you've heard a bed and breakfast has got to be owner occupied.
Yes, sir.
And there's not a way around that at this point, and that's the ordinance.
Yes, sir.
Okay, how many different wedding venues do we have in Fayette County right now? I can think of two, but one's on 54, on the south side, close to the old mill. I know that one. And then there's one down on 92, just past Harps Crossing Churches. Is there any other ones in Fayette County other than those two? By Publix. Okay.
I can tell you where a few are in Pike County and Spalding County.
Well, that's fine. I'm just trying, you know, because these things are very useful for folks that want to have a wedding or some kind of special event.
Right.
And I've been to them, and sometimes they got gravel parking lots, and sometimes they got paved parking lots. This looks like a fairly small piece of dirt to be developed in something like this. It does to me. Especially if the west side of the property is not going to be developed at all. Now, it gets rezoned. That's what you're requesting, but I don't see the access to it.
Well, yes, sir. We're requesting a lower intensity and density zoning back to AR, that you would eliminate all these possibilities. And yes, you could put some small school or church building out there. I mean, if you take the usable area, I think you'll find out there's probably plenty to put a small school. And you know, there are a few in Fayette County or small churches. I mean, you have a church building a parking lot. I believe we could easily get that on this piece of property.
But on this piece of property, I don't even see how they can do residential on the west side of the property. That's what, and
No,
I know
sir.
you didn't evaluate it for that, but I don't see how it can be developed as residential.
It would be difficult at this point, yes. If we don't find another way to get over there, it'd be very difficult. Yes, sir.
It's not half the property, but once you add the lake, the body of the lake, and the west side of the property, 2/3 of this property is unusable, other than it's a beautiful piece of property.
It is beautiful, and I think the reason, no disrespect to Fayette County and none intended, but there's not a tremendous amount of larger areas available to put a wedding venue on that has this much acreage. The land here is very expensive now, and because I've got a dentist friend that his wife would like to open one. I said, you can't do it in Fayette County. You know, the land's too high, and there's not a large piece of property to do it on. This is 50 acres, beautiful place, and I think kids are looking for that now. Just a beautiful place to put it. This would be a gorgeous place. And I had talked to him. I've looked at this property for several clients, and beautiful piece of property, and that's a beautiful lake, but it's a Category 1 lake, and it's a nightmare to try to keep that up. And I've told every client that I've talked to, I said, the best thing you can do is get permission. You know, don't just go out and do it, but get permission to get rid of the lake, or either make it much smaller. So is there a possibility to do that? Absolutely, is to make a modification on the lake, because that thing, I mean, I don't think you can buy enough insurance to cover Category 1 lake. If it breaches and you have loss of life, you're liable. I don't care if you're the county or this person here. So I told him, I said, look, if this doesn't pass, let's see about getting the lake reduced, getting rid of the Category 1 dam. I don't think anybody would fight you on that. Hey, we got a situation here, if this thing fails, people are going to lose their life. Who would not work with you on that? And make that lake smaller, just as pretty.
But in that scenario, the dam would be moved, and then that would give access to the west side of the property.
Yes, sir, my point exactly. Yes, sir.
There was a mention in the notes on Planning Commission, somebody had a question on whether somebody wanted to put a data center on this property.
Yeah, I think that's kind of got crazy. I don't see how that's possible that you'd ever do that.
I don't know how many times we have folks come in front of us that want to rezone residential property to AR. That's what we generally would refer to as a down zoning.
Right.
Instead of an up zoning, because generally it's the other way around. Generally it's agricultural reserve property that somebody's trying to go to R40 or R72 or whatever they're wanting. But almost always this board has followed on a down zone.
Right.
What I didn't see in the notes on this, I saw that it was a 5-0 from the Planning Commission to deny.
Yes, sir.
But I didn't see what your office did. What did your office recommend? Okay. I just didn't see it in the notes, and it may have been that I just overlooked it, but I was trying to find it in the notes, and I just didn't see it. That'd be my question.
Okay. Any other comments? What's the pleasure of the board?
Mr. Chairman,
I'm sorry.
your past practice has been with multiple properties for rezoning to have both public hearings before you make votes, because one vote is going to drive the next vote. And so if you'd have both public hearings first, that'd be consistent with your practice.
Okay. So for the second parcel, which would be petition 1372-25-B, which is the triangular shape, for lack of a better word. Debbie, you want to do the intro on that? And then
Sure.
Is that appropriate, Dennis?
Yes. Item number 4 is consideration of petition 1372-25B, 1246 Highway 314, CO LLC. Owner, Randy Boyd, agent, request to rezone 4.738 acres from R40 to AR. Property is located in land lot 219 of the 13th District and fronts on Highway 314. This was also deferred from the January 22nd meeting. This is the second of 2 parcels. Because this parcel is less than 5 acres, staff has applied a condition of zoning. So as defined in the Fayette County Comprehensive Plan, Future Land Use Plan, low-density residential is designated for this area, so the request for AR, which is a lower density district, is considered appropriate. The parcel does not meet the minimum lot size for AR zoning, therefore a condition is recommended to ensure it is combined with the larger parcel, which will resolve the issue. Based on this staff analysis, we recommend conditional approval of the request for zoning of AR agricultural residential subject to the following condition. 1, all parcels that are subject of this petition shall be combined by a recorded final plat within 180 days of the approval of the petition or prior to the submittal of a site development plan, whichever comes first. And on December 4th, 2025, the Planning Commission did vote unanimously to recommend denial of this request. That was a motion that passed at 5-0.
So Randy, you're in agreement with the combination of the 2 lots? The owner
Absolutely.
is-
I won't rehash anything. I know this is taking a while, so absolutely, we'll agree to the conditions, and thank you for your consideration.
Sure. So with this being a separate rezoning, right, Dennis? Then if there's those in the audience that would want to speak in favor of this, you're certainly welcome to come at this time. Seeing none, we'll close that portion, and if there's those in the audience that would like to speak in opposition to this rezoning for this parcel, you certainly are welcome to come at this time. Certainly. Please state your name and good evening.
I'm Sandy Burton Hughes. I've lived in this county for 33-plus years, Lafayette Estates.
Okay.
I am adamantly opposed to this venture. It will be dense. It will make our community more dense. I think everybody is aware that there's one lane going south on 314. There's one lane going north on 314. And that is going to destabilize, this situation will destabilize our community. When I first heard about Fayette County many years ago, it didn't have any sidewalks. It still doesn't. And it is a lot more dense now than it was then. There's much more traffic. Our community will suffer greatly if we have partially commercial venture placed on it. And I'm in favor of all the people who have talked in opposition before me now, that we don't want our stable, quiet, idyllic community disturbed. When I first moved here, cows were grazing on this place, and that's how we want to keep it. So think about it, please, and think about us, because there are those of us who've been here longer than I have. Maybe not much, but longer. And we want to keep our community the way it is. So, thank you.
Thank you, Cindy. Yes, sir.
Hello, Alvin Williams again, and again, we own the 89 acres off of 138. And I'm actually hearing a lot of new information about this property. So I'm actually not for it. And I give you 3 reasons. One, when Mr. Randy mentioned that the idea of making the dam smaller to get access to the west side, I'll be the first one to fight it. And the reason being, we looked at buying that property to expand to 80 acres. The water runs, the topography runs from 138 downhill. Then there's a natural spring on our property. So everything runs to our lake that feeds into the lake of the property that we're discussing. So you can't shrink that lake. If you do, you're going to cause flooding, because that's an ongoing water spring, rain, and what have you. So that's one. 2, other than doing, we produce film and television, but other than that, I'm with the Black Promoters Collective. We're the largest concert touring company behind Live Nation. So right now we got a new edition out. We're doing the Queens tour, which is Patti LaBelle, Shaka Khan, Stephanie Mills, the list goes on and on. So one thing we do not do anymore, you know, you have concerts and then you have after parties. We do not associate ourselves with after parties whatsoever. And these after parties are held at clubs or event centers. So even though Mr. Randy is speaking of a wedding center, it is an event center that once they get past the tent and build a building, you cannot control the crowd at all. Just like the gentleman spoke, once it hits social media now, you're going to have people just coming up just for a party. Yes, it's a state highway. It's a 2-lane highway. We live in in the south of Fayetteville. And I travel 314 on a regular basis. And I hate the traffic that's going through there right now. So having an event center is going to cause not just uncontrollable traffic during that window of time. And weddings now is not just Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. They're Tuesday through Sundays, because there's the one in Fayetteville, it's not enough event space. So since there's not enough event space, that means there's going to be more parties, more mini concerts. And if the lady, what she was alluding to with her conversation, if he want to be Rick Ross, that just tells it all right there. And also being on the north side, as you know, you're dealing with Clayton County and Riverdale. So it's not just residents of Fayette County is going to rent it. You're closer up that it's more crime. They're going to come in and rent it out. So it's really not going to be safe for the community to have people coming in They're going to leave drunk. They're going to leave high. And that is facts. That's one reason why we don't even associate it. If Mary J. Blige wants to have an after party, we don't put our hands on it because we don't want the liability that if something happens and we're associated, they're going to sue us as well. And so I forgot my third point, but I don't think having an event center is not good for the community in that area at all. The third point is the only access to that backside is from our property. It's 1 acre. It actually butts into it. And after listening right now, I can tell you, I would never give access to that backside with an event center. So I said I was for it in the beginning, but after hearing all this information, I don't think it needs to be had as an event center. Thank you.
Thank you, Alvin. Are there others? Yes.
My name is Celestine English. My name is Celestine English. I am a resident in the Newton Plantation subdivision. I am totally 110% against this property being rezoned as AR. I don't want to reiterate what everybody has said and double talk, but a wedding venue, no, that's a joke. It is a buzzword he picked from the list of what can go onto this property. Mr. Hill purchased this property as a residential area. In a residential area, he knew he wanted to convert it to an AR. He should have bought someplace where there was an AR instead of right in the middle of a community of homes in North Fayette County. That should have been his first thought. He didn't think that. We do not need a so-called wedding venue, a wedding business. We don't need a bed and breakfast. He talks about people coming to fish. Fish what? I've never known any fish in that lake. I've been here almost 30 years in the area, 20 in this subdivision. I can guarantee you that once this becomes an AR, anything and everything will go on in that area in the middle of a residential area. Thank you.
Thank you, Celeste. Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Good afternoon.
I just have one last say-so. Liability. Bringing kids, churches around a pond, liability. If you have a pool in your yard, it has to be fenced. Liability. I don't think Mr. Hill did his due diligence before purchasing the land. And I think if he had done his due diligence, he would not have purchased the land, or he would have purchased it to be exactly what it is. So my question is, what if the event center is not profitable? What if? What if he sells it? What if? And as a resident of the North Fayette area for 34 years, I would hate to see it turn into something else. My peace, my quietness, I would hate to see that to go. So I just ask you all to vote with integrity. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Are there others?
Dane Anderson again, just to add to my remarks and to everybody else's as well. On a more of a personal note this time, I live right across the street from this property, And last year they had 3 events, and they were so disruptive that I had reached out to the city to figure out who I need to complain to, because it seemed like it was a commercial thing going on and it was supposed to be a residential home. After that 3rd event, I was going to give him one more try, and if he went and had another party, I was going to call and complain, because it is disruptive. I don't want you to discount the amount of noise that something like this takes. I don't know that any of you would choose to buy a house right next to an event center, and so that tells me that home values will be going down, because this is going to be a place of noise. Lots of traffic and noise. It makes it very difficult to enjoy your property and to enjoy the area, because you're forced to listen to whatever they decided that they're going to present. As you can see, there is a very strong feeling in the entire community. I haven't talked to a single neighbor that is not against this. Nobody wants it. Again, the property is surrounded by residences, and to throw a commercial venue right in the middle of that just doesn't make any sense. And it's already been talked about how there will be, the gentleman speaking for the owner mentioned that there are going to be surges of traffic, and that can happen, quite often it's going to happen on the weekends, but that can happen every day. So, and how late will that go? And yeah, it's one thing to say, well, the regulation says that they're going to stop at 11 o'clock or 10 o'clock or 9 o'clock, whatever the time is, but what's the reality? With kids at home, just trying to live life, we don't need it, we don't want it, and I think you see a strong opposition from the neighborhood against it. Thank you.
Thank you, Dan. Are there others? Yes, sir.
Tonight, you only see a handful of us here. I don't know, 5, 6, 7 of us. I've been to every meeting. I don't believe y'all were there during the initial meeting, the planning of when the owner stood before us and gave us a beautiful presentation. It is a beautiful property. There's no doubt about it. Anybody would love to own something like that. But at that time, he stood here and said that the property had already been renovated to do what he wants to do, that he wasn't going to expand the building anymore, that he wasn't going to make the parking lot any bigger. He didn't mention anything about putting tents up or making more parking so more people could get there. We had some people question why he had such big spotlights there now. We don't know why they're there. We just have to assume that he's really wanting to have some large parties there. I don't know if you've been to the property, you've seen the property, it is beautiful, but you'll see that it appears that he intends to do more than what he says. The first meeting, we had a crowd in here, probably 60, 70 people. Ms. Gale, as well as I, went around and spoke with residents. Not one person was in favor of it. We both had petitions signed, and we presented them to them, where you have a page full. I don't know what Ms. Gale got, but I had a page full of the neighbors that would sign the petition. Not everybody can be here tonight, and maybe people have lost interest. I don't know. But when they came in the first time and they heard what they heard, and now, when I spoke earlier, I was worried about being bamboozled in the future. And after hearing some more after I spoke, I feel like we are already being bamboozled, because we were told it wasn't going to expand to this. The building wasn't going to be made any bigger. They didn't say anything about putting up large temporary tents for the venues. They didn't say anything about making a parking lot bigger. You see a parking lot, you say, that's how many cars can fit there, that's as big as it's going to get. But now we're talking about making a bigger parking lot. What do you need a tent for if you can't get more people on there? You can only fit so many people in a small residence. The residence hasn't been expanded. What can that residence legally hold to have a venue? 30, 40 people? That's a pretty good sized party, but if you're putting a tent up outside, now you're really increasing the traffic even more so than what any of us thought was going to be there. Thank you for considering all that. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there others? Randy, would you like time for rebuttal?
I'm sorry, real quickly, something's going to go there. And like I said, under the R40 as it is now, you can put a church, you can put a school. It would be much more concentrated traffic, much more than a venue would ever produce, in my opinion. And the gentleman on the lake, I wouldn't say that we're going to lower the elevation of the lake. And I know this is very simple, but push the dam back, redo a dam further up. That lake doesn't have to be 12 or 15 acres. And give us an opportunity to get to the back. Is that a possibility? Yes. Is that what he wants to do? No. But something's going to go on this property, and we feel like this is a less intense zoning from the R40 to the AR. We ask that you approve it as submitted. Thank you.
Okay, we've heard a lot of discussion. Do I have a motion? What's the pleasure of the board? And we'll vote on, we'll close the public hearing, so we'll deal with petition 1372-25A first, if that's correct, Dennis.
Move to approve.
We got a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
So we got a motion and a second. Comments, questions?
I have several, Mr. Chair, and you've heard from the residents of my district, as I have heard over the last probably 9 months or so, because this has been postponed, pulled, tabled, and we're here tonight. As my colleague on the far end, Eric, was talking about, there's limited access. And as you hear, this started out as an event center or wedding venue. Now it keeps morphing into something else, fishing hole, Airbnb. And so it's all over the place, and it makes it very difficult for me to support the effort. While we want to see development in our area that fits the needs of a community, that corridor is very tight. You all very well know we're working with GDOT continuously on 279, trying to widen that and accommodate. Ms. Burton Hughes talked about the cut-through for that is Lafayette Estates. They've been fighting, trying to get speed breakers, lighting in their community, so forth and so on. So it's very difficult for me to support this application. I hope that my colleagues would join me in that. There is a mandate from DNR, Department of Natural Resources, as I understand it, to cure the issues associated with that Category 1 dam. And I think it's kind of cart before the horse. If those kinds of things are addressed prior to going forward, it brings him a unique opportunity to come back in 6 months, a year. What is it, Dennis? If it's denied.
If it's denied, it's a 6-month bar to come back.
And so he can come back in 6 months once he's done some of those things that take the community risk out of it that's associated with that, we call it a dam, a lake, so forth and so on. And so again, I think it's cart before the horse. I would love to see him do that. I have personally visited the property and talked with Mr. Hill, myself, as well as talking with the residents. And you've heard their frustrations and concerns about the facility. So I'm urging my colleagues, if you would, support the effort to deny this zoning request on the basis of just the timing and cart before the horse, particularly with that dam and being a Category 1. And we know about that over in, what is it, Phillips Dam on Longview. And so we've got some serious issues there that we're mandated to fix as well. Thank you, Mr. Chair, my colleagues.
Any other comments? Questions? All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? No. Let's take a 10-minute recess, please.
You want to do the second?
Good idea. Do the second.
Let's do that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And
Move
don't
to
forget-
deny petition request to rezone 4.738 acres from R40 to AR agriculture.
This is petition 1372-25B.
That is correct. The next one that was
Okay.
before us.
All right. So do we have a second? Motion dies for lack of a second. Do I have another motion?
Move to approve petition 1372-25B
With the condition.
with the condition.
Do we have a second? So we got a motion and a second. Is any other discussion on this? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Nay.
Okay. Let's take a 10-minute break, please.
Send the document.